Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
These school structures the education along with other aspects. I think it becomes extremely important for one to have that prioritization and time management skills in order to wither through the 2 years of program.
We've been running Konversations Cafe for the last 3 years, traveling to a variety of cities across India, going to hard rock cafes, socials, and talking to students who are immediately going to join the B school in that particular year. This time, obviously, due to the lockdown, we've not been able to do that, but we've got that same experience online. With this in mind, how the Konversations Cafe Online is going to go this year is that first we will be sharing with you, with the entire community of students who are going to their B schools this year, a variety of videos from different companies of people who started their journeys from some of the campuses that you guys are going to, and how they built their career in a variety of these really aspirational companies. Once these videos are released, students like you are supposed to go through those videos and come back with questions that you want to ask these guys. Some of the smartest guys who ask the best questions will actually be shortlisted by these companies, and they'll be put on what we call a hot list. Once you are on a hot list, when the summer internships come up, these companies will have you on their hot list, and that will definitely give you a better chance to crack your dream internship with these companies. We've got someone very interesting with us today. We've got someone from Aditya Birla Group who spent almost 10 years in the company that he joined out of campus. So begin with, Sandeep, thanks a lot for doing this with us. Yeah? We are really looking forward to speaking to you.
Thank you, Gunj.
You are an engineer, you did a couple of years at IBM, then you went to XLRI Jamshedpur, and how did the ABG bug bite you?
I got an understanding that general management as a category is a very exciting one. Having done my internship with Nestle, the FMCG major, did spend a couple of months doing marketing and traveling North India extensively. I realized something. There is much more than to be a functional domain expert, and that's what the general management brings all about it. So the entire piece and the magnanimity of the group by itself, having spanning multiple locations, not just in India but abroad as well, and having diverse set of businesses, that itself was an exciting factor to having considering the company as one to the go-to company.
There's this funny incident that you had mentioned earlier, Sandeep, which is related to your stint in Egypt during your very early years at ABG. So can you take us through that stint?
So my third stint, which was from January to April 2012, in the winters, was in Egypt with the textile company called Alexandria Fiber Company. So I was based out of Alexandria, which is almost 200 kilometers off Cairo. I realized the plant was shut as soon as I landed up there because there were protests going on as soon as I landed, and I said, oh damn, I had only read about it, but experiencing that I'm in the middle of turmoil at that point in time. More than the contribution I did there, it was the experiences that I had with those people, because I was working very closely with the manufacturing unit head there who was responsible for the entire unit. I was part of union discussions, I was part of HR discussions, I was part of people laying off or not laying off, or also giving wage raises discussion. So in a very early stage, I got to know and was part of so many discussions, and then you realize, my God, it's not easy to run a plant.
Sandeep, very early in your career, you took up a role which is an EA to the MD and the CEO. Would you recommend that, and why would you recommend taking up a role like that early in your career?
See, it has multiple pros and cons to it. I would say a few plus points for sure is you do get an in-depth understanding of the business. I think that's very, very important. So personally for me, I did that role for almost 3 years, and I think I gained an experience of at least 6 to 8 years working in that role. Because the kind of people you work with, because all are extremely senior people, the end outcome from doing such roles is you bring maturity, a lot of maturity at a very young age, which really helps in when you take up functional roles and as you grow up in the organization.
From pulp and fiber business, you moved to life insurance, two very different kinds of sectors. What was your entry in life insurance as a sector like, and what were some of the challenges that you faced early on?
So I realized that manufacturing is not cut out for me, and that's how I went through a process of elimination, that what works well and what doesn't work well for me. Considering the today's environment, everybody's taking health insurances and life insurances in this country. I think that was and the role was interesting. It was more on customer experience, customer engagement, customer retention, which had its own impact on the P&L perspective. And therefore I entered into it. The most challenging part was just to understand the life insurance business.
When you look back at your education at XLRI Jamshedpur, what were some of the things that you picked up there that you still apply today in your job?
I found my life partner in my engineering batchmate. Interestingly, she was my senior in Excel. So she joined XLRI 1 year senior. B school structures the education along with other aspects. I think it becomes extremely important for one to have that prioritization and time management skills in order to wither through the 2 years of program. Is the entire milieu that you get in the B school, the kind of diversity of people coming across, having worked in different domains and then landing up into B schools, coming from multiple geographies, which people may not be part of in their in their graduations and schooling time. And then of course you end up making a very good set of colleagues which will be friends for life. I think, and working along with them from project-based approach definitely helps you to have a better stakeholder management once you land up in the corporate.
Sandeep, now you are doing something very interesting, and it gets even more interesting in the current COVID scenario, which is figuring out products and strategy for the retail division of Aditya Birla Finance. What are some of the things that you've realized while working here? What are some of the larger trends that you see in terms of how Indian businesses operate, how the Indian customer thinks, now that you're looking at retail lending?
Over the last 2 years, when I've been actively involved in this sector of lending, I see there's a major shift that's happening. I think as an economy, because of a relatively young age population, and two, having a credit culture in place, which means a lot of youth were into having less and less of savings and fulfilling those experiential needs around either travel, not possessing much of the assets. I think that credit economy, which was booming up big and while, and that's how we as a companies were also booming in, has taken a pause for a while, I would say, considering the current situation. So travel is out of place, buying of assets is out of place in the current economy, and this situation is gonna be there for at least a year and a half. We were anyway going digital. This entire episode has made us more and more digital. Right. The primary example, you and me doing a Zoom call of this event itself is a testimony to that how we all are going digital.
Sandeep, finance experts or finance graduates don't necessarily always want to join a company like Aditya Birla Group because it's a general management role, as you mentioned. Can you tell me why a finance graduate would enjoy working in a finance role at Aditya Birla?
I think the way probably one should filter, and this is after 10 years of my experience, basis any industry or any function, is where is the industry growing, and where do the industry or the sector itself you see growing in next 5 years or maybe 3 years. 5 years itself becomes too long a time period now. Then you start delving deeper into, okay, if this is the sector, then what areas or what consumer demands us propagating in those areas. So that itself gives you the direction of where the consumers, the industry and the opportunity lies. A finance graduate or a marketing graduate, you will start your journey with some functional theoretical knowledge, but you will gain expertise once you land up and start doing the actual roles. With Aditya Birla Finance, yeah, it's in retail lending, we are only 3-year-old compared to the mammoths of HDFCs, ICICIs, and so many other companies. Within the lending domain, we are only 6 years old. But look at our book that has taken. Every year we have, grown more than 40-50%, and that shows that something would be there in that company, that it's growing. So my only urge to people who are making those choices, be it any kind of graduate, is have some in-depth on the industry and the sector if you are genuinely interested.
Where do you want to go from here? You had a very rich variety of experiences so far at ABG.
The reason I entered ABG is the same reason I want to continue there. It's the same excitement of the unknown and the same excitement of having an opportunity to work across different verticals, functions, areas, and industry. As an individual, of course, I started with an individual contributor, moved into team role, now more into owning up a function role. The ladder is, kind of handling a large business from a P&L perspective. So that still continues. Right. The strength I believe that this kind of program helps is having an understanding of different industries and verticals. I have a lot of my colleagues who are much more senior, but having a only unidirectional understanding, which I think in today's environment and context is much more required you to have a multidimensional approach to learning.
All right, Sandeep, thanks a lot for doing this with us. I think this is a lot of really valuable insights that you brought in, which our students will really appreciate. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you, Kunj, and thank you, Inside IIM. Wonderful interacting with you. Thank you very much.